Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome everybody to another live stream. Before we get started, when we let people get in here, make sure you guys like and subscribe. For those of you that are new here, or if you haven't already, you better be subscribers already. All right. Steve Khan, thank you for being the first. Shahzad Ali, Walu Tukel. Look to go. I think what looked too well. I think I'm.
Bro.
Oh, by the way,
What?
this is very special. Hold on, this is a very special episode because I'm doing it with the one and only Sim from the Madman Luke's.
Assalamu alaikum.
This is his first
I
appearance
was waiting for my introduction.
on my entire show. The first time in a year he's ever been on the show
I've been on the show over a year ago.
alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome him, everybody. By the way, Abdul Malik Al Habashi, welcome.
Marhaba, as they say.
مرحبا بكم. Yes. أهلا وسهلا.
Ahlan wa sahlan.
أهلا وسهلا فيكم ومرحبا بكم يا مشاهدين الكرام. I mean, like, hello, welcome, and
Hello.
my esteemed viewers. Yeah.
What?
Anyways, and
What a welcome.
I love when Sim speaks Arabic. It's great, you know. But anyways,
What was that brother's name? What the Wackle?
I don't know. Let's look it up. Let me see.
That's an interesting name. What
yeah.
what the Wackle?
What look to all?
No, it's what the
What look
Wackle.
to all?
It's what the Wackle.
Maybe it's mutawakkil backwards.
No, bro, it's what the Wackle. That's what you say, like when you're like, what the bleep, you know? You just say, what the Wackle?
What if you're making somebody's real like name? What if it's like a tribal name and you're insulting him? Wow.
Bro,
You're
no
canceled.
offense to your people, Mr. Water Wackle.
Well, why don't you just call him Willy Wonka?
His name is Water Wackle, dude.
What a D-bag. Anyway, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Abdul Malik Al-Habashi and Dylan Mian.
Habashi.
Yeah,
Yani from Ethiopia?
from Ethiopia. Salam alaikum from a Canadian revert. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Welcome. Suhaib, welcome to the show as well too. Alaikum assalam. So today is going to be an interesting show because not only do I have my esteemed co-host,
That's right.
the Madam
Right
Roots.
here.
Yes, the one and
That's
only,
me.
his beautiful face with me. But we're going to be doing a reaction to a video. Oh, by the way, let me tell you a funny story. I'm doing a reaction to the video of Halal Homer. And it's funny because I was doing a thumbnail earlier today. You guys saw the thumbnail. So as I'm doing the thumbnail, Sim walks in the studio and he sees me doing the thumbnail and he goes, "Wait a minute, Mort, are you the Halal Homer? Have you been creating memes by?"
It's true story. That's exactly what I said. I'm like, are you actually Halal Homer?
No, I'm not. No, I would admit to it.
Who knows who this fellow is?
Well, he does a lot of good stuff on Twitter, and
Do you know his true identity?
no, I don't. I just know him as Halal Homer.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it just caught my attention because he would make funny videos of Christian apologists like messing up and like saying dumb things, and so we would do that. Yeah, he is go Mac Abir. Salam alaikum. Welcome. Yes, brother Sim is here joining in me. Oh, come on, Arab dude. Let's not hate on Halal Homer. He's a good guy. Let's show some brotherly love. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Quran and Bible blog. Pleasure to have you, brother. Brothers, who is Bahira?
Bahira the monk.
Quran makes videos again. Oh, I'm not sure, but Bahira the monk is someone else.
He's the monk. He's the monk that the Christians say that the
In
Prophet
Jordan.
learned Islam from.
They claim that he did,
But he learned the Abrahamic faiths from.
even though he was only a child when he
Yeah.
went to Bilad Hashem. But yeah. So Halal Homer is the bomb. Yes. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Call me Papa. Sim, are you GAE? I don't know. Is that gay?
Are you gay?
Is that gay? I hope you
happy.
don't mean gay.
I'm interpreting. I'm going to have benefit of the doubt of the brother and assume that he's asking me whether I'm happy.
That's why I said GAE, not gay, because I wasn't sure if that's what it meant.
So what
No.
if I was, brother? As long as I'm not
It's
practicing,
2021, right?
Yeah. As long as you're not practicing it. That's what.
As long as I'm not a sodomite. That's the thing, right? That's the key thing.
I could have the crush on Mort right now. Everybody be totally okay.
Astaghfirullah.
As long as I'm not practicing it.
Good point, though.
or acting on it.
That may be your own struggle in life.
That could be.
Maybe that's your fitna.
We're kind of joking,
You
but
know.
that's the truth. That's some people's test in life.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just put this user in timeout. Sorry, we don't want to. We don't want the vulgarity. I'm sorry, guys. But look, we're gonna get right into the video, guys. So, by the way, just to make sure you guys like and subscribe to this.
Smash that like button.
Smash it now. Hulk smash. All right, smash it. Because the algorithms, guys, we're gonna blame the algorithms. Right? We need people.
It's actually you guys who are at fault.
Yeah.
Well, don't hit the like button.
Yeah. Exactly. Hold on. Let me see this guy. I've been watching Imran Hussein and his Backstreet videos. Man, I always told Sim this, and I know people will get mad. I generally don't like talking about scholars, but every ummah has their Alex Jones, and that's all I'm going to say.
I would love to talk to him.
I would. I think he'd make an interesting guest.
I think there are some views disagreement would be, to put it mildly. There are some really out there views of his that make me doubt, how he comes up with some of these explanations. But then some of them are mind blowing, and you're like, oh my God, he got me to think in a completely different way. And that's the thing with the Muslim space. There's some really good people out there. Some people who will make you think. Some people who you might say he's a deviant of sort, someone who doesn't have necessarily everything that you want from a scholar or someone who is in a leadership position. But then they come up with some incredibly novel ways of looking at things, and you're like, you know what? I have to hand it to him.
And another thing that I'd like to highlight is that even though I do sometimes, take a stab here and then, but the reality is what he is talking about is akhir zaman and the end of times. And there's not like a clear-cut one specific answer for everything, right? A lot of it is vague, right? In terms of what's going to happen. And you need to, if you're going to make sense of these things, sometimes you have to interpret them based on what's around you. And so I can appreciate the fact that he's even taking the time to do that.
We used to be knee deep or neck deep in a lot of these hadith related to the Akhir Zaman things, but then they're just not adding up, and you don't know which hadith you are supposed to disregard, which ones are weak, and it starts messing with your head, and you're like, you know what? I don't know what the purpose of these hadith are anymore. I'm not saying there is no purpose, but I just don't know what the purpose of them anymore, because they're just not able to line up and make sense. And especially happened to me after the Syrian war, when there are hadith related to the Syrian war about the boys, the war,
right,
the boys in Dara. And actually, a beautiful article came up giving an update on those boys just today.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
really?
yeah. I'll share with you guys later. But
maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, but so you don't know what's going to happen, and then you just end up realizing, you know what? Maybe these are some hadith that you look back at after the events transpired, and then you try to make sense of it, and maybe that's just
like in hindsight, right? 2020 vision. And that happened to the Sahabas too, right? Remember, for example, Ibn Sayyad, people thought he was a Dajjal, right? And some of the Sahabas swore like he is a Dajjal. Yeah. But we ended up finding out later on in history that he couldn't have been. He had children and so forth and so on, right? So, but anyways, so let's get involved. Yes, Shahzad, David Wood is COVID-19 is really rattled by Halal Homer. That's one of the reasons why I love him, because he knows how to rattle them without even really refuting them. We're just putting out some videos. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Sim pull up the clip. So just go ahead and add that shared screen to the... Oh, wow. Okay, wait, hold on. Wait, let's do this for a moment. Okay, or we can... How about we do this? Wait, let me... Bring yourself back into the stream again. I want to see something. Can we... Oh, we can't isolate that. Oh, okay, never mind. Okay. Never mind. Go ahead. Okay, let's bring that back. Okay, cool. All right. Let's just go ahead and switch that up. Okay. Let's get started. By the way, this is Al-Fadi, not Al-Fadi. Al-Fadi and Al-Fadi. Fadi means like it means like bankrupt or like just false, like emptiness, right? That's what it is. But his name is Al-Fadi. He goes by Al-Fadi. He supposedly a Saudi mulhid
Oh,
who
this
became
is this is Al Fadi, who I'm looking at right
al-Fadi.
now.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
now, by the way, for those who you guys are, really into apologetics, I know very surface level of these characters, so I don't know who Sam Shamoun is. I thought this guy was Sam Shamoun, but Mort is telling me now this is Al Fadi.
Shamounimo. That's what I called him. Shamounimo in my title.
Sam Shamoun, is that how
Because
it's
he
pronounced?
has a hashtag like called Shamounian. So
It sounds like a Lebanese name.
Iraqi.
Iraqi?
Syrian.
Okay.
Yeah, but he goes by the name. He puts a hashtag Shamounian, and then so I just called him Shamounimo.
So give me a little bit of background about Sam Shamoun.
So he's the guy behind AnsweringIslam.com,
Oh,
and he's been
that rapscallion.
right, that guy. So he's been always
That
recycling
ruffian.
arguments.
That's
Yeah.
what Muhammad Hijab says.
Yeah,
Ruffian.
exactly. So, oh wow, that's a nice background. Anyways,
Ruffian.
right. So let's go ahead and start the clip. Let's do it. When I tell you to pause, you pause.
Okay.
This comes from chapter 5, verse 51 of the Quran. It says, O you who believe, don't take the Jews and the Christians for friends. They are friends of each other, and whoever amongst you take them for a friend, then surely he is one of them. Surely Allah does not guide the unjust people. Sam, your take on it.
Well, I mean, I can tell you how the Muslims take it. They'll say that it's not saying that Muslims can't be friendly or have friendships with Jews and Christians, because they'll tell you that the word means you are not to seek their protection, that you don't take Jews and Christians as your protectors, but you can be friends with them. That's how it's often interpreted, actually distorted. And as David is about to show, that even the standard Muslim translations do not understand that word awliya to mean just protectors, because it means also being friends with them.
That's right.
Intimate friends. So maybe, David, you want to delve into that a little more deeper, and then we can show that even Omar understood it to mean friendship. 2 Corinthians 6, 14 to 18. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. Marriage is a yoking of two people who come together and become one flesh in the sight of God. This is applicable to marriage, not just your friendships. Not just your friendships. If it's telling you don't have unbelievers as friends where you revolve your life around, how much more does this apply to women that you want to marry or men that you want to marry?
Let's pause that for a second.
All right.
So what he was trying to do was he was trying to make it sound like Muslims are evil people because the Quran is forbidding us from taking Christians and Jews as intimate allies, right? Oh yeah, right. But in his previous episodes as a Christian, his Bible is preaching the same thing.
Oh,
That's what they were showing.
Oh, got him, Gupta. He got
him.
He been got.
It's kind of funny though, because honestly, but let's talk about that for a minute though. So while that's funny, it sounds hypocritical, but even from I believe that's one of those laws that even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed even to previous nations. And that makes sense. Why? Because company is everything, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to be involved with people who are opposed to the fundamental of what you believe in, which for us is Tawheed, you're going to see that they might have an influence on you. And we see that today, right? I mean, we see, like, for example, when you send your kids to school, right? And they come back with information that you would never dream of telling them about or even talk to them about. Where is that coming from? That's coming because you've entrusted your children to be taught by certain people.
Yep.
Right. And so likewise, I think people look at this like, oh, it's coming from a place of hatred, but rather it's coming from a place of protection, right? Meaning that we're trying to protect ourselves from ideas that we believe are antithetical to Islam.
Yeah.
Right. And likewise, in their belief, they don't want to send their children to a non-Muslim school all day long. Why would they do that?
Yeah. And I think I always understood that verse to be on a state level. Like, for example, a group of Muslims, or not necessarily even a state, but a body of Muslims does not utilize the protection of non-Muslims as their helpers or protectors.
Good point.
It's not on an individual level where you have a problem with your neighbor Bob because he's, of a different faith. What did
Builder
Bob?
Bob and Plumber Joe,
Yeah, well, I mean, what did they do? They did nothing to you, and they
Crazy
wanted.
Karen.
Yeah, crazy Karen.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think that's a great point. I never thought about it that way. So maybe you're saying that this might apply on the state level.
Yeah, like for example, if you look at the caliphates of old, of even the Ottomans and Abbasids and stuff, they didn't ask for protection from other world powers. They didn't utilize their protection, and I think one of the problems was when the Ottomans started doing that, they became weaker. Ottomans were really known towards their decline. They were trying to make alliances with anyone and in any which way
In order to combat the Russian
to combat
incursion, right?
the British.
Oh, the British. Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah,
British
'cause
advanced
I-
all across the Middle East and North Africa. So they were allying with Germany and different, and then they got into the war with
They got pulled into the war by.
no, they got into a war with the Russians as well. That made them
Yeah.
a little bit weaker too. So they were trying to find any kind of alliance. But again, this is kind of a gray territory where they were trying to build alliances, and some people can say, "Hang on, Sim." The Ottomans were trying to build alliances. They weren't necessarily seeking protection, but I think it's just something to think about and wonder whether the Ottoman entanglements led to a violation of this verse, because they were just so desperate at a point where.
So I guess the question again is
Yeah.
like this, right? Were they making, whether you want to call it alliances or whatever, but was it done from a position of strength or weakness?
I think they were weak at that point.
So if it's done from a position of weakness, I think this is probably what's relating to the ayah that,
Yeah.
hey, don't, rely on them, right? You're not supposed to. And that kind of goes back into what we would say is tawakkul, right? Like, you do what you do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You try your best, and then you leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? You
Yeah.
can't put your trust in people that are not, they're not your creator, right? They're
Yeah.
not going to have that interest for you. Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of ways to look at it, but I think the main interesting thing here is that, again, we see that Christian apologists are willing to mock something within Islam that exists in their belief solely for the fact that they want to make Islam look bad because they have a hatred for Islam, right? Like, it's like saying, you know what, like, I don't know, about women covering their hair, right?
Yeah.
The Bible is very clear about that, right?
Yeah.
That women should cover their hair.
Yeah.
Right. And the Virgin Mary covered her hair. Right. These are simple things that we know. But for them, when they talk about that, about Islam, they make it look like it's oppressive to women. But when it's read in their scriptures, oh, well, there's context. You see, God cares about women. God cares about that. That's how the culture was. They try to find ways to make excuses for it. But in reality, they're just trying to, there's a clear double standard. That's my point.
Yeah.
You get my point? Let me see what some of the comments are right now. Your friend.
My friend.
What look to what all?
What the wackle?
Have you read Refutation of Daniel Allen Brubaker's corrections in early Quran manuscripts prepared by Dr. Tayyar? Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't pronounce that last name. I cannot afford that book. No, I have not, but I will definitely check it out. And what I'll do is I will read it. And what I'll do is I will, when I'm done with it, I will send it to you, inshallah. Let's make a deal. Okay, so I'll read it, and when I'm done, I will send it to you, inshallah. Make sure you drop me your contacts at muzzybuzzshow@gmail.com. All right. Let me see. Shahzad Sam has been taken to court for beating his wife in his open court papers. Ouch. Domestic abuse seems to be something that he's always involved in. I don't know why it is, but it is. Abdul Malik al-Habashi, imagine being Shamoun's neighbor. Yeah, I mean, that would be horrible. That would be horrible. Alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Idris Yisir. I don't know what that is, how to say the last name, but I hope I did that right. Abdul Malik al-Habashi says their New Testament wants women to not teach or talk over men and don't take their feminist criticisms seriously. Yeah, that's true. Actually, it's a great, interesting point because, we always talk about this. Now, this whole conversation around feminism and stuff, but in reality, we know that Islam came early on and gave rights to women that it was unheard of them to have, right? Like, for example, the right to inherit, the right to teach, the right to, consent to a marriage, things like that were, like what we would call disruptive to their societies and to their way of life and to what they've known. And yet they have the nerve to come out and say that Islam is somehow going to oppress women. Shahzad says Sam even blames his anger and abuse on him being from the Middle East. Wow. How much hatred can you have, right? He's blaming his spousal abuse and the fact that he has Middle Eastern blood in him.
Wait, his wife beat him?
No, he beat his wife.
Oh, he got busted for beating his wife?
He got divorced. She filed in the divorce papers against him. Yeah. I mean, allegedly, I should say, right? This is all, I know divorces can be, to be fair, I don't want to get involved in a man's private life, but we all know divorces can be messy and people can say things they shouldn't say. So I'm not going to get involved in that. But
you're allegedly a very kind man.
Well, I learned from the best,
I don't think he would have afforded you that right. That husna done.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I mean, he's a Catholic anyways.
Yeah, but so he's blaming Islam for that.
Well, he's blaming the fact that he's from the Middle East.
Really? So they don't beat people here in America? In America, there's no domestic abuse. Is that what he's saying?
No.
Oh, so the statistics from all across American research polls, whether it's Pew or otherwise, that doesn't make a difference to him about how much domestic violence is prevalent throughout America.
True, and
very
priests
hypocritical.
And priests haven't raped boys in America either.
Of course not.
It's all
it was all Muslims who were doing that.
Yeah, they're undercover Muslims. They had their Muslimic ray guns out, and they were. Let me see what Call Me Papa says. The Ottomans were saved by the British and French from the Russians. I think to some degree they were helped, but I don't forget that at some point the Ottomans also helped the French as well too. The Battle of Nice, when they went in there, the Ottomans also did at some point extend their support to them for some point as well too. Dylan Mian, have you seen Daniel Hakikachu's new video, Dark Truths About the Atheist Mind? A reaction video would be cool. You know what? I had that in my queue. I haven't got a chance to see it, but since you mentioned it, Dylan, let's try to do that. Let's maybe, how long is it? I don't know if it's too long. We may not be able to do a live reaction, but maybe me and Sim will just chop it up and do a reaction to that video as well too. Maybe
we'll
do that. Daniel Hakichu released a video called Dark Truths About the Atheist Mind.
Usually those are long videos, but
we'll probably have to do a segment of it. Take a picture.
Did you end up seeing Ayan Hirsi Ali on the Joe Rogan Experience and how she was talking about how there's a Meccan Muhammad and there's a Medinan Muhammad, and majority of Muslims are peaceful and they follow the Meccan Muhammad, but the ones that are more inclined to violence and things like that, the ones that we have to reform, they are the Medinan Muhammad, the ones who follow Billah, the warlord Muhammad. That's what they call them. That's what.
So my thing is, I haven't seen that, but I'm familiar with her argument because she writes about this a lot.
Yeah.
And actually, I think she goes a step further and says that Muslims are generally like the Meccan Muhammad until they get power. So she says we're basically all in stealth jihad, pretty much. The stealth jihad. Yeah.
So it's funny because we as Muslims, we take the Prophet's life in its totality, and how we understand the Prophet as a Medinan prophet. He was a statesman. He was the head of a state. And that's the most important thing to understand from that aspect of his life, that we as Muslims right now, we don't have a state. We don't have a caliphate of any sort that can be a true a reference that can reference the statesmanship of the Prophet and how he had his dealings with other international actors of that time. So it's such a false equivalence, and it's her whole purpose on that show, on the Joe Rogan, her, Sam Harris, Majid Nawaz, all they only want to create this anti-Muslim sentiment among Europeans, that these Muslims are coming with their gangs, these immigrants are coming with male gangs that are raping their women, and they're just trying to propagate this idea that immigrant Muslim men are there to rape their women.
Right. And I think the only reason why they make the distinction that there's some peaceful Muslims is because they want to be politically correct. Right. Yeah. They want to come off as being hate speech because, Europe has hate speech laws. Right. But one thing about that, though, I would say this, that for us, the argument in of itself does not make sense because in my mind, when we read the Sirah, and I think we talked about this earlier, there is no difference between the quote unquote Meccan Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the Medini Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because we know that from Mecca, when the ayat came, he was issuing direct like or indications that they were going to conquer Rome, right? That they were writing, and there were a hadith that came about Bilad al-Sham, right? Things like this that were already foretelling beyond the borders of Mecca and Medina, right? They were already thinking beyond these borders, right? So this was nothing new that, like they're trying to make it sound like he went to Medina and then he decided that we're going to make it global.
You know what that it reeks of? It reeks of critical race theory, because now all of a sudden he has authority. He will exercise his authority in,
Power
in
plus prejudice.
Yeah, in applying that power towards the spread of Islam. So even though Ayaan Hirsi and Sam Harris and Rogan and all of them, they hate the social justice, critical race theory type framing and framework across society. That's exactly what they're falling into.
Good point.
And they're just selectively applying it. That, oh, look, the Prophet Muhammad, when he got power, he started applying it for his own benefit. Well, what does anyone do when they have power? They apply their power. What did the United States do after they won their independence from the British? They applied their power.
And applying power doesn't always mean prejudice.
Right.
You can apply. Sometimes, it's funny because they will praise people like Malcolm X. Sometimes, right? Some of them will, when they feel like it. And, and he talked about revolution, how revolution needs blood sometimes, right?
Right.
So that's effectively using power, right? You have to use your might to struggle and to affect change.
Power is a natural phenomenon. It's something that is a characteristic or feature of human civilization. And denying it and trying to squash that element from humanity is trying to destroy humanity in itself, because power is just as to human beings as any other characteristic. And the application, this is why Islam came to form parameters and guidelines on how to apply that power and how to not to abuse it, because each of these features of human beings is to be cared for, and it's something that we have to, we have a kind of an amana over. We have to make sure that we are responsible caretakers of these features like power.
That's a good point. You know what I think we should do on the TMM roundtable? We should do a session on the power dynamics in Islam.
Yeah,
like what it, because Ali Harfouch had something about that, but I think he's a little bit too broad of a video for him to get involved.
Ali is a brilliant mind.
Yeah,
and there needs to be idiots like us who can explain, dumb it down for the rest of us
in dumb language.
Yeah, because we're cavemen and we can speak to other cavemen like us.
We're toxic males
who all your task right now is to smash that like button.
Exactly. Right.
Give
me likes now.
Take your hammer and smash that like button.
Yeah. Let's go read some of the comments before we actually, let's just finish playing the rest of the video. Let's see what else happens here. I want to see what else he says so we can get to the
This is applicable to marriage, not just your friendships. If it's telling you don't have unbelievers as friends, where you revolve your life around, how much more does this apply to women that you want to marry or men that you want to marry?
2 Corinthians 6:14-18. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. Marriage is a yoking of two people who come together and become one flesh in the sight of God. This is applicable to marriage, not just your friendships. If it's telling you don't have unbelievers as friends where you revolve your life around, how much more does this apply to women that you want to marry or men that you want to marry?
Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Nothing.
What's he talking? I don't understand.
What fellowship can light have with them?
What's he talking about? I don't understand.
When he's talking about the Bible here, the second thing, the first one, Al-Fadi, they're talking about Islam, right? The ayah in the Quran where it says, don't take the Christians, Jews and Christians as your awliya, right?
Yeah.
Now, when they're talking about yoking.
Yeah, that's yoke you use on an animal.
No. Yoking here in the Bible means to form a union.
Okay.
So we're talking about
tying it onto.
Tying it, right, exactly. So he's saying that in this particular clip, in this presentation he's doing, he's talking about choosing a spouse, a partner in marriage, right?
Right.
But he uses a verse in the Bible that talks about yoking even between friends, a company. And he's saying that God is saying, don't be friendly with people who are not like Christians like you.
Oh, wow.
So if it's saying even that about friends, what about marriage?
So what's he chastising us for? So
That's the whole point. He's hypocritical.
So someone is showing this clip from his previous lectures or sermons in response to...
That's what Halal Homer is doing. He's saying he busted him on him using his own words.
May
against him.
Allah increase you, Halal Homer. I like you. Very, very clever assembly of clips to make
Well
expose
played.
Sam Shamoun.
Let's give him a slow clap. Well played, sir. Well played. Let's finish it up. Let's finish up the clip. Let's see what else is there.
Darkness, it can't, because the moment you turn on the light, there goes darkness. Darkness is the absence of light. You can't have light and darkness and fellowship, because one cancels out the other. And you are light. She's darkness until the Lord saves her, right?
Ooh.
What harmony is there between Christ and Belial?
Hey, pause
Does Christ
that.
sit and have fellowship with Belial?
Pause that.
Sip tea with Belial?
Yeah.
He's saying light and darkness. Is he being racist?
You think so?
You gotta cancel him. He's being racist.
No. Let's stick to it.
God forbid such blasphemy. Christ has no fellowship with Belial. Belial stands condemned by the Lord Jesus.
That's Nabil Qureshi, by the way.
So then what right
Was
do you
that
have
Nabil
to write-
Qureshi? Okay, that's
Passed
the
away.
guy who was an
Passed
atheist.
away.
Yeah.
No,
died.
he was Ahmadi that became Muslim.
Yeah, and he died during Katrina, right?
No, yeah. So he was Ahmadi that became a Christian, and he had cancer, and then he was like really bad cancer, and he was sent home, and like he was stuck at home during Katrina, and I think his condition got worse, and he finally ended up dying in a hospital.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me about all that when it was going down, when Katrina
Yeah.
was happening. You explained to me like who Nabil Qureshi was, because I was never into this stuff as deep as you were. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and play it.
Because you want to be yoked with an unbeliever when it comes to husband and wife relationship. Or what does a believer have in common with an unbeliever? Answer, nothing. What agreement is there between the temple of God and idol? No agreement. For we are the temple of the living God. As God has said, and I pray that you receive this, and everyone else listening receives this by the Holy Spirit. As God has said, I will live with them and walk among them, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. Therefore, come out from them and be separate, says the Lord. Touch no unclean thing, and I will receive you. Notice, you who are part of the world, come out of the world, separate from the world, and God will receive you. If you fellowship with the world, then you'll be stained, you'll become unclean, and bring the discipline of the Lord over you in your life.
You people are idiots. That's what a joke.
Well, I think, you know what? Let's pause that. I think it's done. Then we can close the video out.
Yeah.
You know
That
what?
verse comes from chapter 5, verse 51 of the Quran. It says,
The thing is, you know what's funny is that everything he's saying now, if we apply it to Islam, I don't really have a problem with it, right? Like, hey, you know, if you mingle with the kuffar and you adopt their ways, and you know, what I mean is that they're saying like,
Yeah.
okay, look, for example, we know that if you, I'm not saying mingle like in terms of just have anything high by. No. What I'm saying is that when you allow them to influence you,
Yeah.
because that's what the verse in the Bible is talking about. It's saying that when you let them live with them, because back in the old times, living them, there were tribes, right? You shared customs. So Allah was telling the Jews to leave them, to get away from those people so he could purify them, right? You can't have a spiritual purification. For example, why is Mecca al-Mukarramah off limits to non-Muslims?
Absolutely.
It's sanctity, right? Yeah, you can't taint that, right? There's certain understanding, like there's certain a certain purity among beliefs.
The ideas and principles of Islam are pure within that jurisdiction.
Right.
Now, what the problem is that when you have a group of friends, let's just say we're taking out even the political aspect. Remember how we were earlier talking about the political aspect of the Prophet and how, or the caliphates of old, making friends and protectors of different faiths. But let's just look at it even on an individual level, where we have a group of friends that are non-Muslim. Any Muslim that you talk to in the West, majority of those types aren't even watching this video right now, but majority of Muslims right now who live in the West, they have friends who are non-Muslim, and most of them will have a majority of those friends. And slowly but surely, pieces of Islam are falling off because societal pressures, circles of friends will always piece away whatever you have in your mind. It could be if it's Muslim practicing Muslim friends, it'll improve your your character and your iman and all the different aspects of your faith. But if you don't, if it's something the opposite, you're going to expect that same thing. It's just like you can be the best Muslim in the world, and if you have a majority of non-Muslims as your friends, it's nothing against non-Muslims. Is what we're trying to help people understand, is that it's ideas and thoughts that are contrary to your Islamic beliefs that will slowly piece away the existing framework that you have in your mind. You might even, we're not saying you're becoming a non-Muslim, but you are allowing yourself down that path.
Yeah. You know what? Just to wind this one down a little bit, you reminded me of something a sheikh told, a classroom that we were in, and told us of a story. And said, you know what? A student came to him and asked him, he was living. Actually, he said, I'm going to America. I'm going to the West, and give me some advice. So what he told him, he says, listen, I'm just going to tell you something, and you take it, understand it how you will. But he says, think of yourself, your iman, as a rock. And the bigger it is, obviously the heavier it is. The smaller it is, the lighter it is, right? And imagine the West or America being like a river. If I throw a rock into the river, either one of two things are going to happen. Either the rock is going to sink because of its weight, meaning the iman is heavy, so it's not going to flow with the current, or the rock is going to be so lightweight that it's going to move with the current.
Yeah.
But he said even the one that sinks to the bottom, eventually over time it'll become thinner and thinner.
Yeah, because the current is acting against
and it'll end up going with the current.
Yeah.
So what that means is, I'm not saying don't go to the West or leave the West. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to be mindful of the influences around you. And when we say the Quran says don't take them as your awliya, it doesn't mean you can't be cordial with them or you can't respect them and you can't have a relationship with them. But what it means is that you have to be mindful of how they're influencing you.
This is absolutely a wonderful point that you just made, and something that I've been thinking about for quite a while now in terms of our relationship, our lives with our families and stuff in the West. As parents, you wonder about the permissibility of your, of Muslims establishing a foothold in this country. Yes, everyone's going to say, oh, well, we have all these Muslims that, all these Islamic centers that we set up mosques and all these nice, wonderful things that we've done. But at the heart of it, when you step out of your bubble, when we step out of the Mazibah show or the Mad Mamluks, and we find what the condition of Muslims is, and you find out that forget about prayer, forget about all the different things. These people are completely immersed in the Western traditional values. They are lockstep holding American values higher and at a core level, at a level where they have found that their values are superior to Islam and Muslims' values,
Yeah.
So we have to be cognizant of that, and we have to realize each one of us, because as Sheikh Amir always says, he cites the hadith about us being shepherds, right? Each one of us are shepherds of our homes, and we have to realize if our home is not conducive to this environment, do we need to set up shop, set up a residence in a Muslim land where there are practicing Muslims? Because it's not just about going to a Muslim land. Going to a Muslim land you could go to many different parts of the Muslim world where your surroundings are worse than what is here in the West. So going to a place that practices Islam, somewhere secluded, being willing to make that sacrifice is an incredible ordeal and incredible reward towards that, because you're making a huge sacrifice to leave all the things that the West has to offer, and you're going
for the protection of your family and the akhirah.
Yeah.
Right. No, let's just take a look at some of the comments before we close this one down. I think we did a nice little reaction. Let's just go back up here. Let me see here.
Call Me Papa, we have a lot of episodes that we just released. So hopefully maybe another one this weekend. We're talking to a couple guests, and hopefully we have something to announce for you guys by tomorrow. inshallah.
Let me see here. So some clarification standards is why he don't get angry replies from the Middle East. Oh, okay, all right, that's no problem. I mean, he's a born idiot anyway, so we don't really care. Let me see here what Al-Halabi says. In Mecca, the Prophet ﷺ, him and his Sahaba could have decided to be vigilantes and carry out assassinations against the pagans. However, they chose to fight back legitimately under a state. Absolutely true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier. Good point, Halabi. By the way, Hala Habibi, good to see you. That's the guy I did a reaction with Ali Dawa, in case you don't.
Oh,
remember.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he did a lot of good research. Yeah. Let me see here. The Prophet ﷺ in Medina was a full-fledged state. Of course, there will be different dynamics. Absolutely. Yes, we understood that part, right? Let's see, any other good comments here before we wrap up? Sorry, guys, I can't get to everything right
Fellas,
now.
remember this channel, as well as the Madam Luke's, every channel relies on your support. I know many of you guys who listen to Mort's show are doing a great job creating clips and spreading that around. Make sure you continue doing that. It's really important because the guys from the UK and stuff, they have a lot of support, in their dawah activities, but we as Muslim American content creators, we don't have that kind of weight behind us. So it's super important for you guys to help us out through Patreon, through creating video clips, through sharing. This is the only way that, my kids, they don't want to listen to, all the different types of production that comes out of the UK because they don't sound American. They don't sound like them. So naturally, they're not going to be interested in that kind of stuff. It's important that we help all the content creators in America and in Canada are helping each other out so that we can further our Islam in these countries. So nothing against the UK brothers. They're doing an amazing job. And
do you think converts who stay in the West of Islam can grow if they all leave Muslim countries? How can that spread? Well, I mean, I think that's what we were talking about earlier, Arab dude. I don't think every single Muslim should. I think we belong here in the West as well too. There's the earth belongs to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, you know, and that. But I think it's a matter of your personal decision. Meaning, if you feel like this could apply for someone being even in the Middle East. Like, let's say I'm living in Qatar. And I feel like my Islam is being tainted, and America provides a better option for me to be a Muslim. Well, maybe you make hijrah to America,
or maybe the Muslims in America gravitate towards one another, and so that we have a strong community of all shapes, sizes, and colors in close proximity within each other. Because if we don't, then because when you have community, you have other people who are living by the same standards and beliefs that you do. If there's no shame in you committing a sin in whatever vicinity that you live in, then how easy or how difficult will it be for you to fall into that sin?
Right. No, absolutely. So we do take calls, at least sometimes, but we're probably going to think about starting something a little more regular later on about taking calls. But unfortunately, this episode we didn't. We just want to do a reaction. But we'll be setting it up. We have it set up already. We just need to get it going. So we'll do that in the TMN.
Or maybe we could just add them to the stream. If you have something, we'll just add you to the stream. We'll share the link with you, and we can add you. I don't know if we're ready for that right now, but maybe we can do that later on.
Yeah, I think we've already been at 45 minutes. So I think we want to kind of wind this one down. But inshallah, next time, tune in, and I'll put the link in the description later on. We'll have that, and then we'll do that. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up right now because I wanted to keep it short since there's a reaction. But anyways, guys, all you guys listening right now, all 25 of you, can smash that like button so it helps the algorithms and other people can listen. By the way, please, a massive shout out to brother Halal Homer for making the video. Amazing content as usual. He always supports the brothers. He makes clips. He's active on YouTube. He always promotes. Even when he got a little bit of fame, he promoted people. And that really says a lot about that character. As well as people like the brother Al-Halabi, making constant videos, more active than I am, actually, to be honest, making videos against people like David Wood and refuting some of these lies. And so please make sure you go ahead and you subscribe to them, inshallah ta'ala, and benefit from them as well, too. So with that being said, we're going to make sure that we put out some more content. The next episode of the Mad Mamluks, I think is going to happen on maybe next on the roundtable next Wednesday, I think. Yeah. I don't think we have a guest to speak, but yeah, make sure you guys tune into that. And until then, let's talk about it.